I didn't put it over
Okay,
there.
so now we're going to put together. Now we're going to put together what we did yesterday with the rest of the problem, which is ultimately what we're trying to do is figure out how to graph a parabola. Okay. So yesterday we did the first part of this problem, and we can just review this. We said A is 1, B is -6, and C is 4, correct?
Correct.
So then to find the x coordinate of the vertex, we have to go the opposite of B. So in this case, the opposite of -6 is
-6.
6. Divided by 2 times A, what's 2 times 1?
1, 2.
2. And that gives you 3. So the x coordinate of my vertex is 3. Okay? Now to find the y coordinate of the vertex, I plug this back into the equation. And like I said, this is just what we did yesterday. 3 squared is 9. -6 times 3 is -18. So that's going to end up with y equals -5. Okay? So what we're going to do today is now we're actually going to graph that point. Okay? So on my little coordinate axes here, I'm going to go over 3 and down 5. And that point right there is the vertex of the parabola. Okay? I got -5 because I took 3 and I plugged it in here where the x's were. Okay? So 3 squared gave me, this one, 3 squared is 9. -6 times 3 is -18 plus 4. And then I went 9, take away 18 is -9 plus 5 is -5. Okay? So this point right here is the vertex of my parabola. Now what is special about that point?
It's
It's the minimum or it's the maximum, depending on whether it opens up or down. And it's also
The vertex.
It's also right in the middle of the parabola. And so after you graph that point right there, what you need to do is you need to draw a
straight line.
vertical dotted line that goes through that point.
Do you have to put a dotted line?
Yep, it's got to be a dotted line because it's not actually part of the graph. But does anybody remember what that line is called?
It's the line of symmetry.
It's the axis of symmetry, right. And so what we know is, since the vertex is right here, that's the middle of the graph. So whatever the graph looks like on the left side,
Looks like on the right.
it's also going to look like that on the right side, okay? So if we could just find one more point,
It's not raining.
then we would know what's up, okay? What is the other point that we haven't used from the equation?
3, 6, 12, 4.
4, right.
4.
We haven't done anything with what C equals, okay? And what C tells us, just like in the linear equations, y equals mx plus b, the number that's by itself, that tells us where the graph is going to cross the y-axis, okay? So the vertex is my starting point. I draw a vertical dotted line that goes through the vertex.
Oh, nice.
C tells me where to put a point on the y-axis, okay? And then that gives me half of my parabola.
And then you
Where's the other half?
3 on the other side.
Right, 3 on the other side, same thing over here. And now I'm good. Okay? Yeah. So once you know the vertex, it's pretty easy. You draw a vertical dotted line that goes through that point. Whatever C is tells you where it's going to cross the y-axis. And then you just draw the same thing on the other side. And you're all set. Graham?
But for 7, like you said that there,
Nice!
like, there's only 3. No,
Okay,
there's
we'll
2.
talk about number 7 in just a second. Don't let me forget. That's a very important point. Okay? All right, so let me do one more. Make sure we got this.
You don't have to draw a dotted line for 7.
We're getting there.
Asking.
Getting there.
Thank you for being impatient for me, because inside I was feeling impatient with them because I just had that conversation with Graham.
I
I
know.
thought, I don't want to be rude because I'm a teacher. I'm supposed to be patient and
I
nice.
can be rude. I'm just
But
a
then,
kid.
yeah, you can be rude. You're just a student. Hey Stacy,
What?
don't be rude to your
I was being nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at another one. Okay, all the steps are the same. Y equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 2. A is negative 1, B is 4, C is negative 2. So to find the x coordinate of the vertex, what do?
Sup, girls?
It would be negative 4, because it's the opposite of B, over 2 times A, which is negative 2. And negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. So the x coordinate of my vertex is positive 2. Okay? Now I'm going to take that, I'm going to plug it back into the original equation. So I'm going to rewrite this equation here, and everywhere there was an x, I'm going to put a 2. So instead of writing negative x squared, I wrote negative 2 squared. Instead of going plus 4x, I went plus 4 times 2, and then the minus 2 is still there. So I have to square this first, so that's going to be negative 4 plus 8 minus 2, and that works out to be 2. So the x coordinate of the vertex is 2, the y coordinate of the vertex is also 2. So that's what we were doing yesterday, so that should not be like totally stupefied. Now what do I do with that point, 2, 2? I graph it. So I go over 2 and up 2. Then what? Then I put a vertical dotted line through that point because that's going to be my axis of symmetry.
And then you use the negative
Where
2.
will this graph cross the y-axis?
Negative 2.
Negative 2, so I put a dot at negative 2.
And
So that shows me half of my parabola.
negative 2 or 2.
And now I know that the other half is going to be the same over here. And now I'm done. Okay?
So all we need is 2 dots.
Well, you need 3 because you need the vertex too. Francis? That's C tells me what that is. Okay, so whatever C is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? All right, so your homework assignment then for tonight is to take the 9 problems that you did yesterday
And graph it.
and graph them.
That's easy.
So you already have, Jolina, you already have the first step done. You already know the vertex of all of those things. So all you need to do is on a piece of graph paper, graph that vertex, draw in a vertical dotted line, and then use C to figure out where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, now Graham and Nolan bringing up a great point for us with number 7.
Mr. Aldridge, what's this called? A jacket.
A windbreaker.
No, what's the thing called? The texture here.
What? What?
It's not cloth.
This called? I don't know. Fabric kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Look on the back of your thing.
Okay, let's take a look at number 7 together. So we did the first part of this already yesterday, right? What's the vertex of this parabola? 0, 3. So if I go over 0 and up 3 and put a dot, then that is going to be my vertex. And then just like I said, we're going to draw a vertical dotted line through there. Okay? We already knew 0, 3. Okay? So you just graph that point. So you go over 0 and up 3. And then you put your dot, or you draw your vertical line there. And then now what I told you to do is look at C, and that tells you where it crosses the y-axis. But what's the problem?
It's just
It's the same spot as the vertex. So we don't have 3 points like we need, we only have 1. Okay? So when that happens, all you need to do is just pick a point. Pick an x. 1. Okay? So let's take x equals 1, and let's plug it back into the original thing to see what y would equal. So I'm going to go 2 times 1 squared plus 3. 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. So when x equals 1, y equals 5. So that's also a point on the graph. So I'm going to put that right there. And then that lets me draw the right half of the parabola. And then since the left half is going to be the same I can finish that like that, okay? So if you have your vertex on the y-axis, all you need to do is just pick a different value of x. 1 is usually a good one. Figure out what y equals for that, and then that will give you the other 2 points that you need to complete your graph.
You should
Okay.
know what